So Ian, Alex, and I just visited California's Great America, a park that really played a pretty major role in most of our lives, actually. And I think I speak for all of us when I say the park may just be in its best shape it's ever been in. And despite the park closing permanently pretty soon, it is really one of North America's most polished regional theme parks. The original operator and builder of the park was Marriott, the hotel conglomerate.
And did you know that there was originally meant to be a third Great America Park? So Marriott was and still is headquartered in the DC Metro, and the plan had always been for the flagship Marriott's Great America to be built in DC, ideally in Maryland, I think was the site they had settled on. But local opposition prevented it from happening. I do think it's interesting, though. There is a timeline where Six Flags America never became the main regional park in Washington, D.C., and it's possible that both of these kind of victims of the Six Flags Cedar Fair merger are actually still part of Marriott in another time, in another place.
And a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Sean.
My name's Ian. Sorry.
And it's funny because this is like the first episode in a very long time that Alex isn't in.
I know.
Because our work schedules just don't line up, even though I feel like this episode would have been perfect for all three of us.
Yes.
It just isn't working out. And we're already a secret 2-week summer break that was unplanned in episodes.
It's okay.
So I'm going to speak on behalf of Alex and myself in today's episode, which is all about yet another dying theme park, California's Great America. Unlike Six Flags America, this park, I think, should really not be dying at all. I think it's lively as ever.
Absolutely.
And we all just visited, and the more recent visits, like all my recent visits in the last couple of years, every time I go, I think, wow, it's even nicer than the last time I went here. And there's just nothing here that indicates to me that the park seems like to be dying. Unlike Six Flags America, where like the writing has been on the wall,
Well, and they're taking care of the park. Like the park has never physically looked better. And we'll go more and kind of into that right now. But like as someone who grew up in the Bay Area, like it is wild how polished this park looks compared to what it used to be. And it just does not seem like a park that's about to close.
100%. I mean, like when I think of all the Cedar Fair parks, which I think in general are a little bit more polished than the Six Flags parks.
Yeah.
Of course, they're one company now, but I still separate them very heavily in my head. This is by far like the nicest Cedar Fair park, I think. Am I saying something that's incorrect?
No.
I think it really is.
I would say like maybe Knott's. You could argue that possibly Knott's is a little more polished, but Knott's is also an operational mess almost every time I've gone. Like there's
100%.
So it's like, is there a more pleasant park to be in that's also like feels cohesive and high quality? I don't think so, because even for me, Kings Island is always the gold standard. And in this most recent trip to Great America, I was like, if I could take Kings Island's ops, I would still take the physical layout and like look of Great America, of California's Great America over Kings Island. Because Kings Island is great, but there's still some spots that are rough that need some like polishing up. And to me, that's like the gold standard of the legacy Cedar Fair parks.
I think that you're onto something here, because I think Alex and I have historically always said, okay, when it comes to Cedar Fair parks, the Paramount parks are like the nice collection of the park. It's like, like the nice parks, and then you've got the old Cedar Fair parks that are really just like concrete public parks that are just nice looking, and then you've got a couple of hot messes at the bottom. But then, yeah, like you said, Kings Island, of course, I think has a flashier ride lineup, but then Great America is just a nicer park to visit. Like you walk on Great America, and even though there's a little asphalt and concrete here or there, that's just the American Regional Park for you. It still feels so much nicer to be at. Even the old Action Zone area of the park is actually wild. Nice looking. Can you believe it?
It is wild. I'm like, it is crazy that it is the only park, is the park that's about to close, that actually fixed what I call the Paramount Action Zone problem, which has plagued every former Paramount park to this day. Like Carowinds, like that plaza is absolutely one of the worst corners of a regional park in the world. Like the way anyways, we go on and on. Canada's Wonderlands is a mess, and it's getting better. We can hope and pray for Kings Dominion. I think Kings Dominion is going to catch up here soon as the most polished, because they really have been doing some placemaking. But Great America is so pleasant, and the park layout is killer in terms of how simple and good it is. And it's just like, this is not the type of park you need to get rid of. The bones are so good. And then the rides themselves are so good. It's like the location is great. It's convenient. It's in one of the largest metropolitan areas in the country. Like
7 million people. Yeah.
It's insane.
None of it makes any sense. So my real question, and I don't know if we'll ever be able to answer it by the end of the episode, but my question is this truly the end of California's Great America?
Yeah.
I guess we'll start at the beginning. Yeah. So Ian has, I think context a little nerd here.
Context is everything. And I am a nerd. And my childhood home was the city of Santa Clara. So like, this is like my history, like actually, in my opinion. And so everyone knows that there's the two Great Americas. The California park actually opened way earlier. It opened on March 20th versus the Illinois park opened on May 29th, largely because Northern California weather is just that much better. And it opened on March 20th of 1976, celebrating the bicentennial. Like we said in our intro, there was supposed to be a third park in the DC metropolitan area that never got built. And so Marriott was really, really proud of their work they did, but it was never as big of a moneymaker as they thought it would be. Largely, some people say because that third park wasn't built. And so some people argue that if Marriott had built the third park in DC, they might have kept the chain, just because having that park near the headquarters would have made it more of like a corporate, but the distance between corporate headquarters, Illinois, and then California kind of led to them being like, you know what, maybe this is an industry we don't need to be a part of. And so by 1983, even though they had consistently invested in the parks, it was profitable in both parks. Gurney a little bit more, but they knew that was going to be the case because of Chicago. They decided to look into options to sell the two parks. The Illinois park was really quickly basically picked up by Six Flags. At the time, they were under Bally Manufacturing, which is a pinball manufacturer, actually. People don't realize that's why Pac-Man was in Six Flags parks in the early 80s. And so they made that purchase, I believe, yes, it was in May of 1984. And so the Illinois park had a weird season in 1984 where it was like still Marriott's Great America, but it was owned by Six Flags. And then they transitioned fully to a Six Flags park in 1985. And the purchasing price for the Illinois park was $115 million for that park. Worth noting, it had some additional attractions and land compared to Santa Clara. So in California, there was a development company called Kaz Development that, once Marriott was shopping the idea of selling the parks around, was like, oh, this land is like worth $1 million an acre. Like, we could just like turn this into multiple tract homes. And the city of Santa Clara, partially kind of NIMBY, like, we're like, you know what? We don't want to lower the property values of our homes that are in Santa Clara already. So sometimes people kind of frame Santa Clara coming in and stepping in and buying the park as like oh, aren't they great? Like, they just loved having a theme park. But it was also like people being like, we want our property values to stay high and not build more housing, which is super ironic given the Bay Area's like housing market today.
I feel like this is the most Bay Area thing. I guess it's always been a Bay Area thing.
Oh, it's the most Bay Area thing. It's like, let's just keep driving the prices of our houses up until nobody can afford to live here. And then they're like, why does everyone move away from the Bay Area and not live there? I'm like, why do you think, guys? So eventually, so the city basically steps in, and the city and Marriott are like, you know what, this is a deal. We've worked well together. And they approve, the city as well as the citizens of Santa Clara approve $110 million dollar purchasing agreement of the park in 1984. So this is January 31st, 1984. Keep in mind, Six Flags has owned Gurney for like a whole season at this point. So California is already behind. And then this development company, Kaz Development, sues the city and Marriott, and the Superior Court of Santa Clara County nullifies the sale. So they have to cancel the sale in the winter of 1985, and they have to start from scratch. So by the time of agreement and a compromise is finally made, it's June of 1985. And so part of the 1985 season, it's still Marriott's Great America. It's this weird thing where there's like, it's like people think, oh, in 85, King's Entertainment comes in, that's the cutoff point. But half of the 85 season is still Marriott and sort of the city, and then also King's Entertainment. And so Marriott's exit from California was messy. But by 1985, like in the middle of the season, the city hires Kings Entertainment to manage the park. They rename it just simply Great America. And in 1989, as part of that deal to manage the park, Kings Entertainment had an option to buy the park, but not the land underneath it. And it became part of the Kings Entertainment portfolio officially in 1989. As we know, in 1992, Paramount Communications acquires all the Kings Entertainment parks, and its theme parks are rebranded under the Paramount name, and it becomes Paramount's Great America, which is kind of what we know it as from my childhood. And even within the Paramount era, there is a lot of shenanigans in terms of purchases, because now you're under a major like communications conglomerate. So Viacom, which owns MTV and Nickelodeon, buys Paramount in 1994. That's how we get Nickelodeon characters in the parks. Eventually, Viacom acquires CBS in 1999, and then those two companies split in 2005. And the Viacom doesn't take the parks, CBS takes the parks, and the newly formed CBS is like, we don't want to do theme parks anymore. This is stupid. And so they start actively looking to sell the parks. So people are like, oh, why did Paramount sell the parks? I'm like, well, Paramount really didn't sell the parks. CBS, which had been acquired by a company that had acquired Paramount, got stuck with the parks when they were basically splitting, and were like, this is not an asset that we want to handle. And so in May of 2006...
Which, can I say one thing about that?
Yes.
I think at this point in the game, it was actually for the best.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was for the best.
100%.
I think that, like, the Paramount thing had ran out.
Oh, so
and
bad.
The parks were, like, not looking cute anymore. And the whole, you know, like, the limit pushing aspect of, especially Great America, which for a while was, like, kind of a trendsetter.
Oh, 100%.
That whole spirit had, like, died, you know? So it was time, I think.
All we got to think about is the last Paramount addition to Great America is what is now known as Tiki Twirl, but was Survivor the Ride, which was the most nonsensical theme park ride. And then the other ones in the other parks were the backlot stunt coasters, which are cool, but also, again, just the strangest decisions were being made. And the parks did not look good. Like, let us be frank, Paramount towards the end did not care how the parks looked. It was like bad IP slap and a lot of concrete and a lot of disjointed natures, because they just kind of shoehorned rides where they could.
I think in the early Paramount years, there really was maybe a drive to compete with Universal, because Universal at that point was honestly kind of a shit product too, let's face it. Like pre-Potter,
100%.
You know, Universal wasn't all that good. And Islands of Adventure was, a good move, but their parks were just not that great. And so I think, you know, especially with the Flight of Fear coasters they were doing, and like putting some IPs into these parks, like, they really weren't doing terrible, because the only really big player at this point with IPs was Disney. And so, like, they really had something to stand on. But as that went downhill and as Universal started climbing, I think the writing was on the wall, you know?
Well, they were, at the end of the day, they couldn't push them out of being regional parks in the same way they thought they could, which, when you think about when Paramount does that acquisition in 92, it really is smart. Like, the idea, this like diversification of people's portfolios in the 90s into the theme park industry, like, it was a very real business decision they were making. And from all accounts, Santa Clara was the one where they pinned a lot of the hopes. Like, this was going to become like Universal. Like, we could do a mixed use entertainment district. At one point, they were proposing basically taking Carousel Plaza and making it like a city walk, but for Great America. And obviously that didn't happen for lots of reasons, but you can tell early on they were really ambitious. And then towards the end, they were like kind of doing the bare minimum to keep these regional parks going. And
I don't think...
Oh, go ahead.
I don't think this ambition was just Paramount. I think it was just the industry in general. If you look at the 90s and the early 2000s, I mean, in Europe, you saw the same thing. I mean, we had this little stint of the Warner Brothers parks, you know, with like Australia is still around, of course. But, you know, they were trying to enter the market. I think every studio or every brand was like, theme parks were such like a hot thing in the 80s and 90s that I think a lot of parks or a lot of companies pivoted into that industry. And then by early 2000s are quickly realizing that it's not all that, you know, which is exactly why the whole Six Flags expansion didn't work out in Europe. There's just so much of that happening. Yeah.
100%. And I think that Great America is a really good example of this, just because it's also located in such like prime real estate, you know what I mean? So like, it's hard for these companies not to get excited about it, because like the Bay Area is like one of the wealthiest corners of the world, you know what I mean? And it's like, this is where this should work. So kind of back to the time frame, in 2005, in 2006, Cedar Fair acquired the Paramount Parks. I think the acquisition was official in May of 2006, which gave us that weird 2006 season, which I remember very, very vividly, with the Great America logo, but it was still the Paramount font, but no Paramount above it.
Oh yeah,
it was that was that weird era. And then in 2008. After everyone was like rumoring what they were going to rename it, there was talk of Knott's Great America, which would have, I think, been cute, but they went with California's Great America in 2008. And that was when that officially, the name change happened. And so
can we quickly discuss for a second that California's Great America was briefly announced under the Cedar Fair flag as a Knott's Great America?
Yes.
Remember that?
Was. That's why I'm saying it was rumors, and I honestly thought that would have been a cute look because people know about Knott's Berry Farm. But I'm weird like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard. California's Great America is just a weird name.
Yeah, it is a really weird name. I've always questioned why Knott's Great America. Like, why did it have to be California's Great America? Like, I know that Knott's Great America also kind of sounded weird, but at this point, we also had the indoor theme park in Minnesota, the Mall of America that was,
exactly.
Knott's-ish. So, like, maybe having all these different brands under the Knott's name. They did the Soak Cities. I feel like Knott's was kind of a brand, and I think the brand didn't really work out. I don't know if it would ever really fit the park, though. I just can't imagine a Knott's branding.
They would have had to change it pretty quickly because I think pretty recently after their acquisition, they closed the Knott's water parks, or they sold them off, I thought.
One went to Aquatica, the Palm Springs one became Wet and Wild. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So maybe they were like, they saw the writing on the wall in 2008. They're like, let's just call it California's. I don't know why it couldn't just be Great America, only because the park lived as Great America from like 85 until 94. Like, that's almost 10 years. Like, that's why in the area, like in Illinois and Chicago, they call it Six Flags. They call their Great America Six Flags. They don't call it Great America. But in the Bay Area, we always call it Great America because
Great America,
the ownership changes. It's just like, that's the most consistent name that we have.
Also, I feel like any park that loosens like their flag, you have like Six Flags Darien Lake just became Darien Lake.
Yes.
It didn't become like New York's Darien Lake, like make it make sense. Yeah. Okay. It's a choice.
It's a very confusing choices are being made. But part of me kind of loves it now. And it's like just so quirky that it almost works. And so one piece of the timeline people don't realize is that they're actually, even before Cedar Fair's great sale that recently happened in 2011, a San Francisco-based real estate firm called JMA Ventures actually entered an agreement with Cedar Fair to purchase Great America and the operating contract, which Cedar Fair still owned, for Gilbert Gardens. There was talks of them basically taking it over, and they wanted to develop it to be a more premier, like, Bay Area theme park. And Cedar Fair taking on all this debt from the acquisition of the Paramount Parks was like, absolutely, let me make sure I can, like, what was I going to say? Let's move forward with this, make some money, and be done with it. But it sounds like the JMA Ventures pulled out later that year, so it never ended up actually going through. But Cedar Fair announced it on their website, and like it was like a thing that was going to happen for a while there.
Do you think it would have been a good move or a bad move? I mean, at this point, I think this park was in kind of terrible shape, and Discovery Kingdom in the elsewhere in the Bay Area was actually in like a good shape, because in 2010 they kind of relaunched the whole park, and they did all like that like cohesive aesthetic across the park. And I think Great America looked terrible in 2011 personally. So
I do think it's interesting that Cedar Fair, even in 2011, was thinking about selling the park. And I agree, the park looked like at its worst in 2011. You know what I mean? Like, it was such a bad mix. I remember because the first edition we got after Cedar Fair was Firefall, which was the Huss Top Spin that was relocated from Geauga Lake. And that was the first like big addition, and it just was so disjointedly placed into the park. It was like plopped, I think, where they have their scrambler now, and it was just a very strange fit for the park. Firefall. But I remember being really excited because I feel like it was like the first new thing the park had gotten in a while that was like a thrill ride. But that was,
it looks cool, with the whole like fire thing they did. It was kind of like a cheap version of the crypt at King's Dominion.
Yeah, exactly. But in 2011, because this is the thing, we had also been talking about a new roller coaster forever, and that's the time frame. I remember when they finally announced Gold Striker in 2012, it was like so exciting because at that point, the newest coaster that was in the park still would have been Psycho Mouse, I guess.
Yeah. Wow, crazy how long
which is
they
crazy.
Went.
Yeah. That was like a 10-year gap, over 10-year gap, and it's like, and then it wrapping around the tower. So like I feel like that 2013 when Gold Striker opens is like Cedar Fair, that kind of sale falls through. Cedar Fair's like, let's step it up. And what was also happening was Levi's Stadium had been announced. And so there was this additional like kind of piece that was going to be next to the park that could potentially add some publicity, potentially add some like interest in the park. And Levi's Stadium opens in 2014, which shares kind of CGA's parking lot to this day. And that kind of allowed for a kind of, to me, that kind of 2013, 2014 is like the new era for
that's really I think that's really like the turning point, because in 2013 I still remember I thought it was like the park was in such terrible shape. I felt like it was just hadn't been touched in a good 5 years. And then starting 2013 with Gold Striker, you know, it was kind of like, all right, at least there's one kind of nice thing now, but the rest of the park still looked like shit, terrible, honestly.
No,
and Top
absolutely.
Gun, but its old colors didn't really help, because Top Gun's jet black color scheme was really cool, but when your park looks so dilapidated, then suddenly the jet black coaster also looks kind of dilapidated. To me, it just seemed like the place was stuck in a time, you know, in an era. Oh, and then when they repainted that, it was like the start for me, I think.
I agree completely. And it's also interesting because it's like when you think about the skyline of the park, right, when Gold Striker was built, the only color would have been like in Vertigo. Because
which they ripped out.
You know? Exactly. So, and then they took it out. And then you're like, oh, okay.
Everything is gray or brown or and even Vortex was so faded it looked like a gray coaster. I don't know. It was a terrible type.
it was not in good shape. It was not in good shape.
It was not in good shape. Not at all.
So in 2016, the park adds Winterfest, and that's when it's like, oh, we're extending. They're like, we're gonna try to throw every trick we have at this park. Like that feels like Cedar Fair being like, we're gonna extend the season. And then in 2017 they did the conversion of Patriot. They're like, what are all the little tricks we can do to drive up revenue for this park? And you can see why the city of Santa Clara starts getting excited about Cedar Fair's management, and then of course in 2018 was Railblazer. And I remember I visited during Winterfest of 2018 because I was home for Christmas, because my parents still live there. And I walked the park for Winterfest and I was like, this is not the same park that I grew up with. Like with Railblazer, and then like just like seeing the park clean with the Christmas lights was wild. I was like, this is insane, because like they had started as Cedar Fair does, they started slowly replacing a lot of the pavement with pavers. They had started redoing some of the signage. And
repainting, a lot of repainting. It isn't as good as it is now. It wasn't as good as it is now, but it was still like wild. I was like, oh my God, like the park has never, like it looks like an actual like theme park that people maintain, instead of just like cobwebs and like faded paint, which was very Six Flags, like ironically, I think. Yeah, I well remember visiting in 2013. I was on this Discovery Kingdom stint, and this was around the time Discovery Kingdom got all the money. Like, this was like the chain's favorite. It was like 2 different dolphin shows, like new rides back to back to back. Everything looked pretty good. And then I went to Great America, and I still remember I was waiting in line for Grizzly, and the line just moved so slow because it's Grizzly. And I just remember seeing a ticket laying under the queue, like under the station. It still had like the Paramount Great America logo on it. Yeah. And I was like, how long has this ship been over here between cleaning? And I was like, this park is disgusting. I remember having such a terrible time. Except for Gold Striker. I love Gold Striker. Like I waited 2 hours twice to ride it, but you know, I just didn't care for the park back then. And now I'm like, now I'm a changed human. Now you can barely get me to go to Discovery Kingdom, and now I'm a Great America all the time.
100%. And so all of this kind of leads to in March 2019. So like very early, right before the season starts, Cedar Fair reaches an agreement with the city of Santa Clara to purchase the land underneath Great America for $150 million.
So promising.
which was so exciting. And it's worth noting that like a lot of this was because Cedar Fair had this outline of park development they had given to the city that included potentially the hypercoaster, that included like a lot of enhancements furthering the kind of widening of the season. But a piece of this that people miss out on is that the city, again, is not this altruistic existence. So in 2012, the state of California eliminated redevelopment agencies, which were something that had been created in the 40s. Essentially, and this is like my like layman's term version of this, cities, municipalities in California could create these redevelopment agencies and borrow money, take on debt based upon future tax revenue and tax increases. And it was kind of a way for cities to essentially take out loans to take ownership of parts of the city. One of those redevelopment agencies, or RDAs, was how the city was paying for the land of Great America all the way back into like the 80s when they had done that. And so in 2012, the state eliminates those because of concerns that cities are misusing income towards those redevelopment agencies and essentially not funding essential services like police, schools, etc. And so the city had a significant amount of debt they had to figure out how to pay. And so it's not like it was just like them being like, oh, wow, Cedar Fair is so great. They also were looking for a way to not have to keep paying this debt. You know what I mean? They were trying to find a way to like figure out to like solve this debt issue because it kind of had been transferred into like actual debt they had to pay off. Again, layman's terms, there are city people and municipality people and like local government people. They're going to like be like, Ian is so inaccurate, but that's essentially what was going on. So there was like another drive as well. But again, it just seems so promising because Cedar Fair was pumping money into the park. The park season was extended. The park really was looking good. And their social media presence started really kicking into high gear. Like, I feel like it started feeling like it was like they were trying to be an actual destination again. And of course,
to me, it felt like it was like almost like different ownership. I almost have to look at the Cedar Fair era as like Cedar Fair 1.0, which is simply just an asset acquisition, and in Cedar Fair 2.0, where they actually took the park, invested in it, made it look nice, like actually took the bones and developed it. To me, it really seemed like one was just almost like a holding company where they just bought the asset because it was part of a larger deal, and they really didn't care about Great America for a long time. And then phase 2 was where they actually seemed to suddenly care about the place.
No, I think that's 100% right. And I mean, and then of course, what happens is they take ownership of the park. And then in 2020, because it's California, the park's unable to open for the entire season, which like a bummer because you have this like you're paying off this like expensive $150 million piece of property on top of what the debt they're in for the park itself that's on top of the land. And it's like that had to have put things kind of like in perspective for them. And then June 27th of 2022 is when Cedar Fair announces the sale of the land of California's Great America to Prologis Inc. for approximately $310 million. And the initial plan was that the lease agreement ends on June 30th with the option to extend. I believe it's like a total of up to 11 years. So to 2032, 2033 is like the like how far they could go. But the initial lease agreement ends in June 30th of 2028. Now,
also, let's not forget that right before this announcement, they actually had just opened, within a year before that, their brand new water park, which is so much needed. It was like, for me, the final piece in the puzzle was opening South 100%. Bay Shores. Now it's the nicest water park in the Bay Area, included with admission, which is a very strategic choice, right? When parks do that, it's very much strategic because you can charge a lot of money for a water park and they're very high profit margins. But it always feels like, how do we get from South Bay Shores in 2021 and then the Northern California County Fair redo of the last remaining ugly area, the Action Zone area, and boom, like right after all that's done, it feels like the park is finally completely renovated, like not a single corner untouched, and right after you're announcing the closure of the park? What's going on?
It's wild. It makes no sense. And a part of me is like, and then again, right when this happens, the city says they were blindsided by it, and the mayor announces like, "Hey, we'll work with Prologis." I forgot how to pronounce it, but it's important. They're like, "But the land is zoned as an amusement park. Like this, we won't just roll over and let it be turned into an office park or houses without some sort of reason." And to me, part of me wonders if Cedar Fair isn't playing a game here where they could get capital from Prologis but keep operating it. Do you know what I mean?
And I think you and I have this conversation in private a lot because we always circle back to this. It's like, but what if the zoning doesn't change? What if there is no other zoning but a theme park? Are you just going to rip out this really nice theme park? Also, why is Cedar Fair putting so much money into a theme park that they're going to close? Why are they adding a scramble in there? Why are they still retheming areas? Why is all this happening? Of course, now with Six Flags being involved, maybe it's shifted a little bit because that's even more recent than all these announcements.
Yes.
Part of me is thinking this is not the end. And we're going to probably say that a million times this episode, but something about this just seems like someone is playing a game and they're trying to maybe get a subsidy, or they're trying to get something out there. Maybe they just want to not own the land anymore. Just so they have an easy way out. They can just say, okay, we're going to stop operating at any point. They can sell off the operation. There's more options for them this way than owning the land wholly. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to think, what is their real motive?
Well, and the other thing is someone else can step in and operate. A thought I had when I was in the park, because we'll go into this more kind of in detail, but God, it is such a pleasant theme park. I'm like, theoretically, if Prologis wants to turn this into mixed use, put in some stores, make it open admission and pay per ride, and it would be a really cool open air shopping destination. Do you know what I mean? That is how nice the park is.
Though to me, I feel like in the theme park world, that is the first step towards death. I think a great example 100%. Is Hong Kong Ocean Park choosing to maybe operate like that, and they step back from it. But in that window that they decided to operate like that and they couldn't find operators for their rides, half the park just died off and practically fell into the ocean. So I just feel like maybe that's not the direction they should be going in, but they could very well be thinking about that, because I don't think venture capitalist companies are very good about knowing what a theme park... You know what I'm saying? I feel like they're all just so money focused that they don't actually realize what business plan in the theme parks have worked out or not.
Well, and not to mention the fact that the profit margins in theme park industry are so low that it's so not low, but they are lower than what we typically think of venture doing. Venture will squeeze till there's profitability. You can only squeeze a theme park so much, because then you get, actual death, you know what I mean? There's only so much you can do. So to me I think, and why would now that they own Discovery Kingdom, I get the competition for the seasonal events, but to me, because the water park is such a good part of Great America now, the shortened season and just moving Halloween and moving maybe Winterfest, even if they want to keep doing that, to Discovery Kingdom.
So they actually have already moved it over to Discovery Kingdom.
Oh, they did.
Okay,
I didn't realize.
Yeah.
To me, that makes sense.
So there's no more special events. Yeah.
There's animals there. They have to maintain the park to a greater degree than Great America does. But to me, as a summer, May through what's the shortest operating schedule that we have at Cedar Fair is probably Michigan's Adventure.
Mystic Adventure is the end of
Labor
August,
Day.
I think. It's really,
I think it's Labor Day.
It's super short.
It's super short. I'm but that actually wouldn't not work at Great America, because it also means then the parking lot is just free for the 49ers season. You know what I mean? Then it's just
Which has been a problem in the past, because they would have Great America now running through practically the first week of January and then be closed for 2 months. In fact, they even tried doing weekends year round for a tiny window. I think for a year, right?
1 year, yeah.
Yeah, and they were struggling because then there would be a game or there'd be a concert and they would have to close the parking lot. They would close the park. So if there can be a way where Discovery Kingdom with the animals just does all the seasonal events, Holiday in the Park, or now it's Winterfest already, and Fright Fest, which I think I have an easier time staffing anyway, because Great America has always struggled with staffing seasonal events. Yes. Good luck getting people in the South Bay to work for pennies to go run your seasonal event. Right. It just doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. So it would make complete sense to then keep the park closed in the winter, keep the parking lot open for the special events at the stadium, and then in the summer make it a Michigan's Adventure situation where you just operated. And it does get busy. We were there the other day, and all the rides were open. And even though it wasn't lines per se, it was a healthy theme park. It was a healthy crowd. There was people there, lots of kids, lots of families. I'm like, damn, this park feels alive. I feel like there is a future for it. Yeah.
Absolutely, because I was there on July. I went on a Friday, and then I went a Friday afternoon because I flew in to San Jose, which was amazing. Sometimes it's just
good for you.
When you can skip having to do the drive from SFO down, you're just ooh, I'm right in the Bay Area. But I was
literally right next to Great America too. Yeah.
like right there. So I was able to spend the afternoon in the park. And I think that was Samsung or a company was doing like a corporate day there. So it was really busy, but it felt alive. It felt like there was energy there. It was families doing things together. And then I went that next Saturday and it was just as kind of busy, maybe a little less with people with matching t-shirts, but like everything, the big coasters all got like over 45-minute waits later in the day. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, it's not.
And I will say, you actually made a good point here that we didn't put in the episode notes, Ian. But that special event thing, I've been going to Great America now for like over a decade, right? Like maybe like 15 years now. Mm-hmm. And so many of my visits have actually had corporate events. It was like AAA, or it was. There was another event the other day I was there, and I feel like being located in the tech industry, right? Being located in Silicon Valley, in the center, in the heart of it, like in between the Oracle buildings, practically, right? Great America is an amazing event space because these companies have money and they throw lavish parties. And what's a better way to throw a lavish party than a really nice theme park right next to the office? Right. And I see that over and over and over. So even in that, I feel like there's a future because corporate events like that make so much money. I mean, like selling out your park or something. I mean,
that's... God.
Theme parks are willing to close on a weekend day just to make that money, you know?
Kings Island's famously does it for Procter & Gamble, like the whole park between the fall, like between the summer and the fall, like that weekend is Procter & Gamble days. And I think Intel has done similar stuff at Great America. And I'm like, that just seems like money this is not Michigan's Adventure. Like, you know what I mean? This isn't even Six Flags America out of Maryland. Like, this is like, you are next to the homes of your employees. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a hike for them to come for a day. And
there's so much money in that region. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. To me, it just makes sense. And it's so unique in the region as well. Like between you and me, and this is someone who's a Bay Area native, like anything that's local culture is such a value in that space because tech does not create like something unique and artistic at its nature. Like tech is going to kind of
not
be
at
like
all. In fact, I feel like it drew all that away from the Bay Area. Not to get all like, you know,
not to get political, but it's true. It's like
it's true. It did.
It's true. There's nothing there. Like all the personality of the Bay has been like zapped out, and it's like this is like one of the pieces that's left, guys. Like this is like a special thing to have, and it's a unique experience. You know, like I don't know. It's like it's like the part of the Bay Area that hasn't been Tesla-fied yet, you know, like it's
100%. And like while you're, you know, from the lift hills to the coast, you're just staring straight into the abandoned apartment building. I mean, the abandoned office buildings that are really used as like, you know, assets. Like it's like depressing as hell. This is like a little piece of joy in the middle of like a overpriced tech nightmare. I don't know, for me personally, like no offense to the tech industry, but like these are not great places where you drive around. It's just business parks. It's endless business parks in the Bay Area, you know?
Business parks, and you're just like real estate invested in these business parks for companies that mostly work remote. So I'm like, there has to be a space for an actual thing for people to do in the Bay because like, what else do you do in the Bay Area?
100%. Yeah, I'm sorry, but like Calabunga Bay, San Jose is not quite the same as California's Great America.
No, I mean, Raging Waters hasn't gotten Calabunga Bay has not gotten a new water slide, I think, like since like 2005. Like
there's something with these Bay Area water parks changing ownership back to back to back to back and retheming the parks by just painting the water slides. But who actually gets a new water slide? No one.
Nobody.
No one gets a new water slide. Except for America.
Got the drop towers. That's the thing.
For that alone, they deserve to live.
Yes, I agree. Well, other things to kind of note about, like, I want us to talk a little bit about our visits, each of our visits. I'm curious how yours went. First and foremost, obviously, because I go to this park all the time, the details pop out to me really quickly. You know what I mean? So the pavers in Carousel Plaza versus the asphalt that used to be there, huge difference. I still think that. And they also recently repainted Celebration Swings, which is really exciting. I love, even though I, of course, wish there was a train because I love trains, but the kinetic energy of Celebration Swings with a carousel, with Gold Striker, like that whole entrance plaza is so attractive. And into Hometown Square, which they added a Hometown Square sign back to that area, which is really cool. And it's just like, They when they built Patriot, I think a little bit after, they were like, we're going to make Hometown Square its own thing again. And they added a little sign next to the gazebo. And there's even like a little path of pavers that's darker where the old trolley path used to be when there was a trolley through the park. And it just feels so polished. Like it's like
what I love about it is it feels super Americana, but very California. Color palette. Yeah. The way absolutely. That, of course, the palm trees line the lagoon. It's just like, it's very California and it's very America, which maybe California's Great America isn't so bad of a name after all. But,
no,
it really is very California vibey, but also very Americana. And no offense to Sickers Great America, but when you walk into Sickers Great America, it's like dilapidated. It's like the parking lot just sort of ended maybe, but it's so ugly in there. Like, oh my God. Well, and then it's so bad. It's so ugly.
It's so ugly. And the reflection pond is a great idea, but it never works. Like, it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't actually reflect the carousel at Six Flags Great America. So thank God the King's Entertainment was like, a pond with no fountains, we can't have that. And they were like, International Street that thing, you know what I mean? They were the ones that were like, put the fountains in. And
which is funny because that's such a signature Kiko thing. I mean, like Kenneth's Wonderland, Kings Dominion, Kings Island, it almost feels like it was always meant to be part of that chain.
Oh,
anyway,
100%. 100%. And then also I will say California's Great America, they're a little rough around the edges. They have their original ticket booths from 1976 and their original parking booths from 1976 and their original sign from 1976, like their street sign. And it's just this really cohesive, like that era. This is the peak of 1970s regional park design. Like this is dual firing on all cylinders, polished Americana. It's just like, we don't make stuff like this anymore. And like the fact that we still have those kind of like assets looking as good as they do at California's Great America, it's really interesting. Like the layout and the rides of California's Great America have changed so much more than the layout and somewhat the layout on the rides of Six Flags. But I would argue that the California park still retains the feel and consistency of a 1970s regional park versus, I mean, look at what Six Flags did with their like Yukon territory, where they tore up all the Bugs Bunny stuff and put that ugly like go-kart track there in that corner. And then even the way like V2 like just even though they still have their interlocking log flumes, which is amazing, V2 and this whole DC Universe thing is just so ugly and like makes that whole area like awful. And it's just irritating because it's like the design of this park is great and you guys have destroyed it by like not taking care of it, by obliterating the sight lines. And like in California's Great America, it had gotten really dirty and dusty, but the bones were able to be like redone in a way that like looks polished and clean and like,
yeah. Well, it's funny, like, walking around the two, you can really sense, okay, like you can kind of feel that one original layout at the Six Flags park and know that, you know, you can obviously see the similarities, and especially with some anchors, like having Demon as an anchor, you know, like you can, you kind of feel your way around that park and you can sense that they're so similar. But then when you go to California's Great America, it just feels so obvious that is not tinkered with, and they've always respected the original layout. That's where Six Flags, like you say, just plops wherever anything fit. They just put it there, and it's awful. I mean, I don't know. This is not supposed to be a Six Great America hate pod, but yeah, it's the whole soul of that place is non-existent. And Great America has California's Great America, and has that soul, still has that soul. All these years later.
Part of it might just be because of that, like what I call like that decline of investment that happened. Like it just was gathering dust versus being morphed. I don't know. And so when they came time to polish it, they were able to polish it. But other things that stood out to me detail wise, the NorCal County Fair, like find me another theme park that will invest in new signage for their splashdown ride that looks that cohesive. And then also Berserker, their 100%. Their Byron Curve has signage that's cohesive. And you're like, that's not cheap signage. It's like 3-dimensional, like lovely signage that like just looks great.
And then Drop Tower, same thing. Drop Tower has
tiny sign. It's beautiful, like, oh, it's so sign. Small. But it's beautiful.
No, they have a big new sign.
Yeah,
the one that has the trees on it.
But it's not as tall as the old like Drop Tower sign. And people are like, oh, it's not as tall. I'm like, I don't care. I think it's like, it just looks nice.
I agree.
And then my biggest takeaway, when I walked up to Psycho Mouse and that like corny 2000s like mouse that was popping out of the old train station building was gone, I was like,
thank God.
And it was just this like neutral color. They had redone the roof and it just said entrance. And I was like, oh my God, this is so tasteful. Like what happened? It's just like, when did this happen? It's just like the fact that they're investing in signage in Orleans Place. Find me a better park, like regional park that has like store signage that actually is thematically appropriate, like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels consistent. And they also even have, some areas have like the Disney style branded trash cans that say Orleans Place or say Hometown Square. And I'm like, what other regional park is doing this? You know what I mean?
Like, I know. Yeah, 100%. And then also talk about Orleans Place. Orleans Place is full of little stores and shops and restaurants, and all of that's open. I mean, there's not a single restaurant or food vending place in all of Great America that's closed. I mean, it's so wild because you walk around a Six Flags park and it's you can expect some stuff to be closed and expect some stuff to just be dilapidated. But then everything in Great America, I don't even know if they need to have all this open for the amount of visitors they get, but everything is open, everything is staffed, everything is kind of lively. I don't know. It's weird. Like, what? Like, why? But I mean, I'm happy it's like that, but it's not something I would have expected from an American regional park.
Well, and I hadn't been back to the park since South Bay Shores had opened. I'm still bitter that it wasn't just named Yankee Harbor, and I thought that would have been cute AF. Yeah. It was just like New England themed. I get why they went with the California theme, but that fixes that corner of the park, because when Stealth came in, it kind of like messed up that corner when they removed the Yankee Clipper and they kind of shoehorned Stealth into it. It filled in part of the lagoon. It was just confusing. And then they put in the water park, but it just still didn't feel cohesive. Now that they've redone South Bay Shores, I know that it like eliminated the log flume, which Loggers Run was like, it's classic, all that fun stuff. But by eliminating what was left of kind of the, like, I would call it the boardwalk waterfront of Yankee Harbor and Yukon territory, and integrating it into the water park of South Bay Shores, that corner feels really cohesive now. Like, it feels like it has, like, the park just feels really like it makes sense. Because to me, that was like a one corner that was kind of disjointed. The weird transition from like where the log flume was into where Planet Snoopy was, like, that was
what
all
was
kind
that
of
water park
weird.
Called again? Was it Boomerang Bay?
It was Boomerang Bay, right? It was Crocodile Dundee's, yeah.
Oh my God. And like, for people that don't know, when I'm telling you, this water park was the ugliest, most disjointed water park excuse that ever water parked. I mean, they left the Stealth station at the forward, like the front part of the park, and then they connected some water slide tower to the Stealth station. You had to walk into the old Stealth station that was filled in with concrete. You could still see the parts where like the mechanisms would pull the train down to lock them in. And they had to walk like over the old track that was just now this concrete, and then go up some water slide. I mean, it made absolutely no sense. They were so cheap. They didn't even rip out the station for this roller coaster. They just used it to build a stair out of it to a water slide. I mean, I cannot understate that.
The original version of that park was so lazy. There wasn't even a lazy river. Like, there wasn't like, I don't think there was like, it was just like that little front part of what is now the water park was it. It was like this little plaza. There was no wave pool. Yeah. It was just wild. I mean, they didn't get a wave pool until Cedar Fair bought the park. Actually, now I think about it, like that's insane. You're like, you had a water park with no wave pool. No, you know what I mean? Like, what on earth were they doing? But now it just looks great. Like the buildings they've added, the kind of nautical feel, it just feels really consistent and like put together.
So nice. I mean, it's so nice, and it feels like a great corner of the park, and the whole park is very California focused, except for the New Orleans area, which I really appreciate. By having the Northern California County Fair, having Railblazer themed to Northern California, Whitewater Falls, all that's really cohesive. And then South Bay Shores, I mean, again, the name starts to make a whole lot more sense now. It kind of, not to spin off, but it kind of reminds me of California, Disney's California Adventure, where like it used to all be California themed, and now you're like, why is the name California still in there? It's almost like the opposite effect of Great America, where like it's like, oh wow, now everything is kind of California vibe, you know? Like it kind of works now.
But it's still kind of is like Americana, but like through California lens. You know what I mean? Like
100%. Like half the park is very Americana, and the other half is very Great America, I think. I mean, California,
like, the part of Orleans Square that's now all American corners, where like their flying scooters are the flying eagles, and they put the Liberty Twirler. It looks great. The orbit has never looked better. They redid the orbit. What park closing is going to spend the money on renovating a beautiful like a Huss? Is it a Huss or is it a? It was
I believe this is a Schwarzkopf.
A Schwarzkopf Enterprise. Like one of the most beautiful renovations.
Not just that. Think about Berserker, the only currently operating buy-in curve in North America. Then you got to think about Centrifuge. Who runs that kind of ride anymore? I mean, like, Great America is not just like a cool park and nice and polished and very clean and great landscaping. It's also home to, like, if you're a little flat ride nerd, they have classic flat rides, well-maintained, and people don't talk about that.
And one of the only Von Roll sky rides left And it is one of the best executed ones. Like the way it runs through that corridor, it's useful. Like you will hop on that and use that as transportation.
I know. I actually used it as transportation.
Yes, I did too this time. I was
100%,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, this makes so much sense. Those stations that they built for that ride when Marriott built the park are so gorgeous. The little barn for the county fair, and then like the little like New Orleans style for the Delta Flyer. Like
the fact that they still have two names is wild to me. I mean, they really pay homage to that part. Yeah. Oh my God, I love that park.
I love that part so much. And then it just, there's this attention to detail that you can feel. Like the people who are leadership of the park is paying attention to details. They're paying attention to like the history of the park. And I want to mention one more thing, and I'll let you kind of go into anything else that you want to add about your visit. They redid the Barney Oldsfield Speedway into Barney Oldsfield's Redwood Rally. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, when it was Barney Oldsfield Speedway, where you used to be able to see the fact that it was two tracks that had then one track was turned down, but the rail was still there for part of it. And the theme of that whole area was kind of like decrepit area behind Grizzly. Like there was just junk places. There was like a pond that looked really industrial, and they've reskinned it in such a way that is like so simple, but it just feels like, oh, this is charming and bright. And there's like a little part where you go under the Grizzly and they turn it so you're like driving through a redwood. It's just so cute. And like, I'm like,
I mean, the fact that for me, I think if I look at Great America now and I look at from the Panda Express next to Extreme Skyflyer all the way until Psycho Mouse, it is one cohesive Northern California area now. That is just amazing because that area of the park used to be utter shit. No offense. It was just ugly.
It's been a mess since Marriott decided to build Demon. You know what I mean? Like this sounds bad. For the first time since Demon, Demon sort of fits into this now. You know what I mean? Like Demon and Railblazer feel like sister coasters. Like they work in the same, they exist in the same world of like rock work and like, you know, woodsy vibes, you know, like it just kind of like it all fits together in a way that like, it also still feels like an homage to County Fair. You know what I mean? Like it's not It doesn't feel untethered from that theme at all, you know, which
no, especially because they went with that whole like NorCal County Fair theme. They just spruced it up with some like redwoodsy colors, and it all just works so well. So for my visit, a couple of things I really noted is, first of all, I kept feeling kind of sad. And not because the park is not in good shape, just because the park is in good shape. I was like, oh my God, I'm having such a ball. Operations are not terrible. Everything's open. 2 trains. Don't have to wait long for anything. People are happy. It's lively. It's like, you know, it's Northern California, Bay Area. So the weather's always kind of pleasant. It's really not bad.
Right.
And it's like a very pleasant, polished, colorful park. And you walk around and you're like, there's so many flat rides. I keep forgetting that this is one of the flat ride heaviest parks in North America, unless I'm mistaken. But, you know, like, I just feel like there's just flat rides everywhere you go, and they're all open. And it just feels like a really polished, almost like high-end park. It feels like the park is something that I think people that have higher standards, and maybe because of the cost of living and then people working in the Bay Area at this point, it's a lot of rich people in the Bay Area. I think it's like a rich people park. It feels like a really rich people experience now, which it didn't used to, of course. But it made me sad because, of course, every time I go on a ride, I'm like, oh, I'm going to miss this ride. Oh, I'm going to miss this park. Oh, I love walking around here. Oh, you know, I have so many memories here. I love you know, you get happy when a park gets better and better. It's a park that you visit as a child. And now you visit and you're like, wow, I really, really love this park. And then, you know, of course, every 5 seconds you think back to the fact that they announced its closure, which again, I still don't believe it's happening. Maybe I'm just an optimist, but there must be another way. You know,
there has to be another way. Well,
there must be another way.
It feels like a bridge between what we think of as like Cedar Fair and like Hershend. Like it's like almost there.
Yes.
If it didn't have and between you and me, if someone has to come in and operate the park, like Hershend would be happy as a plan.
Oh my God. 100%. I was going to wait till the end of the episode to say this, but this has Hershend all over it. This is like
plop some cinnamon bread.
Yeah.
They're good.
Like drop half the parks that they get acquired, which are already starting to, you know, shave those off, and then get into Great America. I mean, if you can take on Kentucky Kingdom, you can take on California's Great America. The park is flawless. All you got to do is just bring your cinnamon bread and operate it. You know, like that's all you got to do. Bring a knapsack, you're done.
Yeah, it literally looks like what Hershend is trying to do at Kentucky Kingdom. You know what I mean? Like their improvements, like. Are very much in line with that. The one thing that's always been missing from Great America has been a dark ride, but that was during the Marriott days too. But but they have the 3D theater, and that's still kicking.
I think Mass Effect is great. Yeah,
it's great. It's a really well done. I mean, look at the other legacy Paramount parks have closed their theaters, but at Great America, they have a really cool, like, kind of part live. You know what I mean? Like, they have something cool going on still there. Like, yeah, to me, it's like this. It is very much one of the most polished, and partially because Northern California weather is incredible, like just such a pleasant park to be in, because it's easy to navigate with the Circle and with the Sky Ride. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to get where you got to go. You know where everything is. And there are resting points because of the way Marriott laid out the park. The way restrooms are laid back, like there are points where you can sit and like breathe, you know what I mean? Like, they still have their like little trellis area in the county fair where it's like the vines growing over the benches. That is really cool. I don't know.
Also, it's a good variety of like restaurants and bars at the park. Like, if you really, you know, it's especially in like Americana part where what is that area called again? That's where Orbit is, and
All American Corners. I think called
All American Corners. Yeah, you have your restaurants and your bars, and it's all. I feel like the park is kind of chill. Like, I'm quite relaxed walking around there because it's not an oversized park. There's not like super crazy tall rides that are in your face. Maybe that's another thing I like about Great America. Of course, we're all obsessed with hypercoasters, and we all love our dive machines that break records if they run well. But at the end of the day, walking on Great America, there is no ride there that is that crazy big or in your face or flashy. I mean, the biggest ride they have is a wooden coaster from GCI. And in a way, that's really calming and relaxing because it creates this atmosphere where, you know, like Flight Deck isn't in your face until you walk up to it. There's a coaster in the middle of the park that's so well hidden. I mean, like Patriot, you kind of forget it's even there. You know, like you really kind of forget it's even there. And so that also adds to this kind of nice vibe of the park. When you walk around, the coasters aren't in your face. Demons hidden behind trees, which is also one of the biggest coasters, hilariously. You know, the only thing really in your face there is going to be Railblazer. And that's so nicely integrated with the walkways around the drop and you know, the nice landscaping.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really nice thing about that park. So I think we should actually do a quick tour of the park because I think people know Great America as in like closing. And of course, we discussed that in full detail already, and we'll talk a little bit more about it by the end of the episode. But for those that aren't super familiar with the park, we'll just kind of do not like a tour, maybe like a tour of the park, and just kind of discuss some of the major rides and what we think about them. We already kind of discussed South Bay Shores, but I wanted to jump off on that just because that is a really major expansion for the park, and it is a really nice water park. We already said that. I don't know if anything here would ever get relocated if the park were to truly close. But as of right now, I think it is a really big asset. And when I was there last week, I mean, it was packed at the water park. I mean, it was packed. It was busy. Yeah.
And I'm not a water park person, but it is obviously a popular part of the park. Like, it is, people are spending a full part of the day there. So it is
100%.
Yeah.
Which is great because, again, it's one of those things where you have to buy a ticket to the park in order to use the water park. And I think the profit margin there is probably pretty good. But then I think what coast enthusiasts care about more is Flight Deck, also known as Top Gun, a Bay Area icon.
It is a Bay Area icon. And I will say, so as you all know, I'm a Kings Island is my home park as well in a lot of ways. And to me, one of the cool things about Kings Island that is like a byproduct of the Paramount years is that the Beast is still the top coaster in that park. Name another park where the parks ride from the 70s is still like the number one, like most iconic attraction. It's like only, and then I thought about it, I was like, you know what? In California's Great America, Flight Deck / Top Gun is still the top ride in the park. That is still what everyone in Bay Area talks about is Flight Deck. And
the amount of like what I call senior mamas I fly with, you know, because I fly to San Francisco, and most of the senior mamas that I fly with on international, they have been in the Bay Area for years. And you know, when we come on the topic of like loving theme parks or go to Great America for a birthday, whatever, everyone's like, oh my God, you know, is Top Gun still there? I love Top Gun. I always ride Top Gun as a kid. Or, you know, when I was younger, we'd go ride Top Gun. And I'm like, damn, people really love Top Gun. I mean, it's a great ride, but like, it really is an icon, you know?
It is an icon, absolutely. And also anchors that corner of Orleans Place with the 0G roll over the entrance is iconic.
Oh, like, iconic. Yeah.
Iconic. It's
iconic.
It is going to be a loss if that ride
and it's a good ride. Like, it is a good little coaster. Still runs well. My favorite 0G roll. Yeah, it's a cute little ride.
I love that turn after the dirt turn after the what would have been an Immelman, but it's just like an upward turn after the loop, vertical loop to get into.
It's so good too.
It's so good. And the finale, of course, Over the Water. It was the first custom non-Batman B&M invert, and it just aged like so well.
Less is more. Yeah.
Yeah. Less is more. Let's pare it down to 3 inversions. And while the Batman clones are amazing, there's something really special about this because it's one of a kind and was built for its plot in such a specific way.
But one thing I like about this layout, just on an overall inverted coaster thing, is that most inverted coasters, I think, are like inversion. Like the transition from an inversion is directly into another inversion. Yes. But then, even though I know it just came early to the game and they were still figuring it out, it's like drop, inversion, non-inversion, inversion, non-inversion, inversion. It's like, it's very, it's
there's
like,
a rhythm.
There's a rhythm. It works.
It works.
Is. We already discussed the Delta Flyer, Eagles Flight. One of the nicest sky rides left in existence. And it was always open. I've never been there where it wasn't open. People love it. There's always like a line for it. And it's actually practical. And the views are great. I mean, love that ride. Like, love that ride. I will ride it at least twice.
Kinetic energy for the park. Oh, absolutely.
100%. 100% kinetic energy. Yeah. Orbit. You just mentioned Orbit. For us, it said it would be closed for today. And then we showed up and actually it was running. I didn't ride it this trip, but I rode it last summer. And I mean, again, the classic flat ride lineup here is just enviable. And they maintain it so well. There's this love in these rides.
Well, for those who don't know, the Orbit is the classic kind of Enterprise, Schwarzkopf Enterprise, which is like the cabins that don't have seatbelts, which is always exciting for people. And then it kind of like turns like you're almost upside down. But this Enterprise has been operating since 1976. Like this is an original park ride. And they recently did a renovation where they repainted everything. They redid the mechanicals, and it's just looks beautiful. And you can tell that was done with love, and that's not always the case. And its original name was the Orleans Orbit because that part of the park was originally part of Orleans Square. But not
I actually did not know that it was Orleans Orbit. Then you've got Rip Roaring Rapids, which I think is an important piece of the regional park puzzle. But for me, it doesn't move the needle, mostly because I feel like the park is so beautifully landscaped, and everywhere you go, I'm like, wow, this park really is pretty. But then Roaring Rapids somehow is not that pretty.
For some reason, when King's Entertainment built their Rapids rides, they went with the bare minimum concrete trough. You have that at Kings Island. They did not landscape them. I don't know why they didn't want to spend the money on like integrating it more, but they are the uglier of the intimate Rapids rides for sure. Is the King's 100%. Entertainment ones.
And strangely, we haven't discussed this park's lack of roofs over stations. This roof station is no different. If anyone's been to Great America, I'm sure that the first thing you notice is that like they just don't do roofs. Like their B&M coasters don't have roofs. Have you ever seen a B&M coaster with no roofs? No, only Great America will you find that.
Yes.
And then the only coasters there really with roofs are a Railblazer, Gold Striker, and Grizzly. But then, the Rapstar doesn't have a roof, and then Psycho Mouse doesn't have a roof. And so even having a giant turntable outside with absolutely no theming around it makes me feel like Roaring Rapids or Rip Roaring Rapids is a little bit bare. But, landscaping is a small fix. And there are parts of the ride towards the end where you kind of go by some landscaping.
Yes.
But overall, the ride doesn't move the needle for me. I'm not a water ride person. I'm not a Rapids ride person. Yeah. So, I don't know. For me, that's one of the rides I kind of don't ride.
It is popular during the summer. Yeah. People love it. So what's sad is it's not actually Camp Snoopy yet. That's next. But it's Planet Snoopy still. But they've redone the paint and the colors to be Camp Snoopy. They just never announced it to be Camp Snoopy, which is bizarre because that corner of the park has always had a weird identity crisis. It was Yukon territory, which was supposed to be themed to the Yukon territory of Canada, right? Like, so Canadian frontier. And it was always,
which would have been great for Camp Snoopy.
It still is in my heart, Camp Snoopy, because they started repainting everything to make it look more Camp Snoopy, and they just never renamed it and finished the project. I suspect that was one of the victims of when they decided to sell. They were like, well, this is fine, it'll do fine.
Yeah, because this is around the same time Carowinds changed theirs over back to Camp Snoopy,
it really would have been a good Camp Snoopy. I think it still could be if they decide to move forward with that. Do that, because that corner of the park would look so good if they went full on.
I agree. I hadn't thought about that. There's so many tall trees there too. Yeah.
Well, because when they built the park, that since the Yukon territory, there's all these redwoods they planted that have grown. And it's like Gurney did not take care of that corner of the park. And California did. And it's one of those things where it's like, you can only hope that it gets better as well. So moving right along.
I didn't add this to the list, but I completely forgot Mass Effect New World.
Yes.
Is in there. Mass Effect New World. So the Action Theater. Was it called Action Theater? What was it called again?
Yeah, it was Action Theater. I think it was Action Theater.
Yeah. So Action Theater used to be a 2-sided, like 4D theater with like bulky seats. I'm sure people have seen it before because Kings Island had one. And then Carowinds had one, which Carowinds got rethemed to Plan for the Zombie. Now it's been closed. But then Great America rethemed half of it to storage and didn't use it for anything. Yeah. And then the other half was actually repurposed as Mass Effect, which is a really high quality 4K LED screen, kind of like a live interaction dark ride with an actual actor that's in there doing the whole thing. And it's really a great ride. And Cedar Fair was really proud of this project. And I think because Silicon Valley technology, I think kind of attracted maybe a certain audience. And I remember every single Cedar Fair park I went to, you watched that Fun TV in the queue, and they would talk about how they did like 72 speakers, and there was one speaker angled exactly at his seat is somewhere in the theater, and you know the panels of that giant screen. It really is a cool ride, and it's still around. I kind of thought it would be disappointed the actor would be out of it, and maybe they would have closed it down already, but it really is a cool attraction, and I'm kind of glad it's there. It's not really Americana or anything; it's just a video game themed live action theater, but it's cool. Like
it and Delirium, which is their is it Huss? I forget. Their Fireball.
I think that's a Mondial, is it not?
I think it is. I think you're right.
Yeah,
but it's the one where they're in the inward facing swinging arm thing. And that little corner, they can kind of have their own little like sci-fi looking corner of the park.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I also feel like that's the most the most like Paramount corner left.
Yes.
Because that has they use that weird industrial aesthetic that Action Zones also had, and that make no sense. Yeah. But yeah, like Delirium, I think at Kings Island still has that aesthetic, doesn't it?
It does. Oh well, that corner of Kings Island is why Kings Island is not as cohesive as Great America.
Oh, true. Because then Vertigo is part of that same hot mess, and the water ride. Oh my god. Ugly, but I miss it. I need to go back soon. Anyway.
yes. So moving on, one of the parks are always a long line because they cannot operate this the way Michigan does for some reason is Psycho Mouse, which is their Aero Mouse. And their Aero Mouse is built where the train station was for the original train station ride. And I love Psycho Mouse. I love that it's in the back of the park. The placement's kind of great.
Especially for its capacity. It's the furthest from the entrance, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it just has a good. It looks good. They've repainted it to be to kind of that NorCal colors where it's brown and green. And then I didn't realize they repainted the mice too. So the mice are all brown and white and natural mice colors.
Honestly, I love the color scheme because I had just made a realization that I've never seen a coaster painted that scheme before, and it's of course meant to be trees because the supports on these Wild Mouse are so bulky, and then the track is kind of minimalist, right? So it's like a tree. You have the big tree branches, and then you have your little, your leaves are the track, and it works incredibly well. And I'm actually kind of obsessed with the color scheme. Not to come clean on that, but I fucking love it.
If they could redo the trains, which trains are so expensive, to be like look like little mine carts or something, I think it would be super cute.
Yeah. And you mentioned the terrible operations. Yeah, they cannot run more than one train on the track at a time, which is absolutely dreadful. But I think it's an Aero thing because none of the other ones run that well. I'm pretty sure Michigan Adventure was just a shit, maybe a tiny bit better. But then Valley Fair, I think it's even worse. I mean, they'll run 8 cars on it, but you'll have 4 on the station, 3 on the brake run, and 1 on the track. Well, and what is the logic?
For the way Aero designed it was to be almost a continuous moving loading operation. The problem is with the seatbelts and with, what is the name of the standards that Cedar Fair uses for their safety operations?
Oh my God. I'm no nerd like that. I've never worked for them, but I know what you're talking about.
Like the clear, all clear, their system just works against what Aero had designed. Aero had designed it to be a quick, like visual check plus like check the bars, done, move on. But for some reason, there's like an extra clearance that just throws the whole Aero. Because if you look at how it moves through the station, it's almost like an assembly line. Like Aero was thinking like you would get in, you would move forward, but they aren't letting people, you can't have people move forward till they're secured. And so that's like throwing everything into a mess.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And it's bad. It's unfortunately really bad.
It's bad.
Like I don't even wait for it. Because like you think, that's not a long line because like physically it's not very long, but you can just tell If it's even touching that building, it's at least 45 minutes to an hour, which is insane because it's only a few dispatches when you look at it. But I do love the colors of that ride. It's a very pretty ride and fits in very well.
It's a pretty ride for sure.
And it runs well, has good leg room. Anyway, next.
And next being Tiki Twirl.
Oh, yeah.
Tiki Twirl.
Yeah. So which just reopened, actually.
They finally reopened it. I don't know why they didn't rename it while they were doing this NorCal County Fair thing. It would have been hard to call it something else.
Maybe because Californians are kind of obsessed with like Hawaii and stuff. Let's face it.
To me, I think it was just like they were like, we don't know how long this ride is going to be around. Like, let's just keep it what it is. It's fine. I remember I did it. I rode it when it was still Survivor the Ride, when you had to do like the clapping and the stomping. I don't know if you ever were there for that.
No, I need more details on this, Ian.
So the original design was Survivor the Ride. And if you look at the ride vehicle, because this is a disco, Zamperla disco, the extended one, there's 4 zones. And so you would be divided into 4 teams. And there would be a video in the station where you would have to stomp and clap. And then the Tiki Idols would spray water on the other team if you like stomped and clapped enough. It's the most paramount thing you've ever heard of.
At what point are you stomping and clapping? While you were riding the ride?
No, while you are waiting, you are trying to stomp and clap for your team that's on the ride. This is wild. It was overly complicated and insane. And
they
never
really
actually
tried.
Worked. They did. Wow. It was very paramount. It's very paramount, like...
So I wonder what they did then on Time Warp at Canada's Wonderland that was then also Survivor before that.
Time Warp was Tomb Raider. Time Warp was Tomb Raider, never mind. So it was not Survivor.
Ignore that I said that, okay.
Similar aesthetics, though. Similar aesthetics, for sure.
Very similar aesthetic. I haven't ridden that ride in forever, but...
the trains are uncomfortable. I feel bad, but Zamperla, those like back bracing.
I don't think I've ever been on a single comfortable Zamperla flat ride. So, yeah. And then, of course, there's Drop Tower. Oh, Drop Tower. How I love the...
Well, it's sad these the second generation, because there was a first generation Drop Tower in this corner of the park called the Edge. That Marriott opened, but they opened Drop Tower, and that's when they closed their first generation Intamin Drop Tower. I love the second generation Intamin Drop Towers. Like, it's so much thrill for so much less height compared to the Roto Drops. And I don't know, it's just there's something about this ride that is also very iconic and a big part of NorCal lore too.
Yeah, and I think the whole idea of it being themed to like a tree, like, the whole tree thing, it's so clever. And it's so clean. I took a couple of really great, because we did the camera last week, Ian, and I took some amazing photos of Drop Tower. So I look forward to throwing these out there as the episode's out. Yeah. But it's such a beautiful ride now. Oh my God. Even though they kept some of that chain link fencing from Action Zone, Action Zone does live on, like almost like an Easter egg. Now the spray painted it just the right color that it actually kind of works. Like somehow everything just works. Yeah.
They've done new fencing, sure, but I don't think it's like, it doesn't detract from the experience, because the colors that the redwood gradient, not gradient, but like the up to the green is just such a good look, and consistent with Psycho Mouse. It's consistent with Psycho Mouse and the games around it. And then right next to Drop Tower is Grizzly, which I will contend Grizzly sucks. It looks great though. It really looks great in that little corner of the park. It's this like lovely wooden border to the park. It hides the hotels.
Super NorCal. Yeah, because even when you're on the ride, there's like it's hard to describe. There's this smell. There's this NorCal smell. Yes. You know the smell, right? Grizzly has that smell. You dispatch, and like it's almost like they pump in this NorCal smell. This morning, I went for a walk around like Central Park in Fremont, and it was kind of dewy out because it's early, and that NorCal smell just like engulfs you. And then Grizzly has that NorCal smell. Okay,
yes,
it's just a thing.
Yes, it does.
Don't make the rules. That's the only thing I like about that ride. Other than that, shitty layout, incredibly uncomfortable trains. I mean, like that Morgan train situation.
I didn't think I would hate the Morgan trains as much as this trip, and maybe it's because I'm fatter, but like, how the hell do we have manual Morgan trains on this ride still, that you have to use a single position for the whole car, and then there's like still foot pedals to release it? It's bizarre.
And then that they have to click into a seatbelt, which is somehow even smaller than the already tiny singular click on this ride.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Oh my God. Every time I ride that, I feel like my blood gets cut off of my legs, and I come back and my legs are just tingling. That's how tight these restraints are on me. I'm fat, but still.
And I appreciate they're running 2 trains. That's great. But they are so bad at loading these that I'm like, let's just like sell these to a museum or just burn them No, send them over to Santa Cruz. Send them to Santa Cruz. Just get a Millennium Flyer. Just one. I just need one. And we'll probably be doing better than we were beforehand. You know what I
mean? 100%. Because like by the time you finally start individually closing these restraints, the train behind it's already back. I don't know how it's so slow.
It's parked.
And then it takes 10 freaking years to get every individual row closed. And there's always one or two people that can't ride because it's the clearance on this is so tight that like an average American, no offense, I'm American to this point, simply cannot fit. You know, you simply cannot fit in a vehicle.
It's bizarre.
So
it's really bizarre.
Or people pull it down, but don't realize that the row behind them is still putting away their loose articles, and it's already locked, and then they have to unlock the car or whatever. It's just nightmare. I hate Grizzly. It just looks cute. Also, Ian, you knew, I don't know if you noticed, but Great America was actually going to RMC Grizzly. I've seen the blueprints. I was shown them by the old social media manager from years ago. They were actually going to RMC it. There was going to be 2 or 3 0G rolls on that. I mean, it was going to be a spectacular ride. And I'm not an RMC fangirl, and neither are you, and neither is Alex. But I would have actually been kind of a cute look for them.
In a million years, take it and burn it. I want to defend it because aesthetically I'm really into it, but it's just not good. There's 2 moments of airtime on the entire layout.
There's airtime?
If you're in the back row on that first drop, okay. You kind of get, and you're like, but your gut is so like tucked into that, like, anyways. Yeah, it's a mess. I've always loved the approach though, where you go under this, into the like the turnaround with all the like the cables. Anyways, it would have been great if it had gone RMC'd, but I guess that was not in the books.
Also, the Hypercoast was very real, by the way. It was actually part of the same.
Was very real.
Yeah, I was also told that they were going to start breaking ground. Like we got all the details from some person who used to work there. And I don't want to throw any names out there, but in management, and they told us everything.
Wasn't there a layout that was going to utilize like part of the rail berm or something like that? Like they were going to like actually wrap it around the park.
And there was something about the one to make it even longer, but it wasn't going to work. In fact, there was actually, what you're referencing is one of the original layouts was it was going to actually go around the park. But then the budget wasn't there for it. So then they go with the second layout, which is a little bit smaller. I would say probably more along the size of Candemonium in Hershey Park, where it was going to be like an out and back and then like an element at the end. And I can't remember exactly where the out and back was going to be, but it was going to be inside the park, and they have, they'd already got the FAA waiver, I believe, for it. It was going to be like exactly where it needed to be, like height-wise. I mean, this is a very, very real thing, guys. Like, if you're not familiar with it, like the CGA Hypercoaster wasn't just a pipe dream. I think it pretty much got canceled at the very last moment. It could have possibly got canceled. Maybe did COVID kill it off? I can't recall the timeline on that.
It's unclear. Some people argue that not COVID, but it was before COVID, because people say that the money was used for what's it called, for Orion at Kings Island. That's the rumor.
Orion is not very inspired. 2019. Yeah. That's very possible. Yeah.
The one bright spot next to the Grizzly is the Demon, which she's an old Aero, so she runs rough. Because keep in mind, this is going to be a 50-year-old Aero looper in a year. It was when it was turn of the century in 1976. It opened with the park. The loops came in 1980, but I think in 2018 or so, maybe it was later, they did the Demon Reignited. They added back in the lights in the tunnel. They added some flames, a little bit of TLC to, again, the open air station, with no roof over. There's a roof over where you're waiting, but there's not a roof over the train where you're loading. But the Demon's always special, and I think it's a beloved part of the park. And now that the two parks are merged, I don't know why they aren't playing the Demon song in California, but they need to.
They were doing some sort of Demon thing in the station. Was it not the song?
They have a voice
just announcements
for like, for the announcements. They use which is really fun, but they need to bring the song back because
the actual song. What I do think it's funny about Demon here is that, like, when you think about Demon, you think, oh, like it's a smaller, very old Aero coaster, and let's face it, doesn't run very well. But in the site, since everything in Great America is small, like even the B&Ms are small, Demon is like one of their biggest rides. Like Demon, Ghost Striker, Grizzly. On paper, you think like, oh, these are going to be smaller rides, and like the B&Ms are going to be bigger. Those are like the 3 biggest coasters there.
They
hilariously,
are the tallest like just height wise.
Yeah,
they're taller. And then Railblazer. I know it's uncomfortable. I really appreciated Railblazer on this trip. RMCs, like you said, we go back and forth on. I just think that I'm also shorter than you, Sean, like significantly shorter than you. So like I think that helps, because those shoulder straps.
Why are they so
tough? Why are they so tough, RMC? I don't know why they had to make them like a vice grip. But the layout I think is really fun, and the investment that Cedar Fair put into like the landscaping, it has a water element, it has the tunnel, and the way like you can just walk under the ride is really fun. It has a really great presence on the Midway that I think and the color scheme I love that burnt orange and green color scheme on Railblazer.
I will say for me, Railblazer, I didn't like any single rail coaster that much, and I may even like Wonder Woman's layout better in Magic Mountain. But I do like, of any park that got a single rail coaster, I think is the park that it fits the best. Maybe like Silverwood, it fits pretty well, but for this park, it's like it feels like a similar size like everything else. Absolutely. It's just, airtime with some inversions. It works well for the park. It's nicely integrated. Did I ride it this last week? I didn't really care to ride it. I actually had the longest line in the park, I think, but It fits. It's a nice ride, and I think also we'll talk about this in a little bit. One of the only rides that may actually get relocated if this is the end of the park.
I agree. And also in this corner is Berserker, which is like we discussed a lot about, but is a gem. It also still has the original thematic like Yukon themed structure, because Berserker was originally where like Planet Snoopy is now. Like it was part of the Yukon territory. It was like that. It was called the Yukon Yahoo, and it was that and the Log Flume were the two like rides for the Yukon territory. And it got relocated eventually to this like corner next to the lift hill, which I forget. There was another flat that was in this area.
And it works very well, actually.
It works very well, and they moved the kind of like country structure. It looks like a little like barn that is around it, and it's great. It works well. They've recently renovated it. You can tell it's been painted. When I was riding it in like the 2007, it was like cobwebs and dusty, but now it's like polished. It has a new sign that matches the theme. And it's popular. Like people were in line for it. I mean, when you think about it for a family, it's like a little mini roller coaster for kids.
Yeah, we actually did wait a couple of dispatches who were so excited to ride it. Yeah. And right next to it is Whitewater Falls, which I think Whitewater Falls is one of the prettiest shoot-to-shoots. First of all, it's a terrain coaster, or a 100% terrain thing, whatever you call it. Yeah. Because it goes up, and there's like kind of like a berm that it goes up, and then it goes down. And the landscaping is very NorCal, but it's very pretty. Of course, open air station, a bridge, it's such a beautiful ride, and it fits the theme so well,
and
of course,
the new sign
of that area.
Is so gorgeous. Like the sign,
I agree,
the new
100%.
sign is gorgeous, and it fits the area. And because there's this water element, which one thing that the Marriott parks, the Marriott Great Americas, they integrated these waterways into the parks. And
this park is very good at that. Yeah,
one of the remaining ones, which again Six Flags has not did a great job, but one of the remaining ones is the one that flows from Whitewater into like the little bridge that connects County Fair to Hometown Square.
Yeah, that's right, because landscaping wise in this park, there's so many little creeks and little ponds and bridges, and the park is pretty. But yeah, Whitewater Falls is one of the prettiest shoot-to-shoots, I think.
Yes.
In North American parks, they've never been good about theming these or making them look good. But this is, I think, the nicest looking one.
And it has a great presence. It has a good presence 100%. From the Midway. You can see it. It's removed from the Midway enough where it feels like a destination. So you're like, oh, look at that over there, and it's cool,
100%. And when we were riding Flight Deck, I was thinking, I see those boats parked next to it, like 3 of them. I thought, maybe it's closed, like permanently. Maybe they just called the shot early. But then we went over there, and it was still running two beautifully maintained boats. So alive and well. Patriot. I mean, Patriot, personally, I'm a big Patriot fan. I like Vortex.
Beggars couldn't be choosers in the 2008, so I rode Vortex a lot. It was not great. But Patriot is one of the floorless conversions, because obviously living in Ohio, I've done Rougarou a lot, and I like Rougarou, but it just kind of works. It works as this intermediate looper. I don't know, and I've always liked the early B&M layouts are so elegant with how compact they are.
And it has those swishes.
Yeah, I thought it was more comfortable than I thought it would be too. It is one where I'm like, this was a good change. And yes, Medusa is in the same area, but this ain't trying to be Medusa. This is trying to just be a nice intermediate looper, something that's like a little bit less intense than Railblazer. You know what I mean? It kind of, even though it opened before Railblazer, it kind of fits in the framework of the park because of Railblazer, I think.
So that's a good point. When first of all, I wasn't like a diehard Vortex fan, but I liked it enough to be on the final train of Operation Ever. We made the whole thing. A couple friends and I, we all went. And so there was only a few people that showed up. I'm pretty sure that final train ever on Vortex was so unloved. There was like 2 or 3 rows occupied. Yeah. And we all closed it out and, took some photos, and that was that. And I did like Vortex. But Patriot, when it first announced it, I was like, oh, like the ride needs something, but do we really need this when Medusa is in the bay, like you just said?
Right.
But you know what? Yes, we did. It runs great. The trains on these are more elevated. I kind of like them more than the traditional Florida's Coaster trains. And because they had to build Vortex around the train and flat rides and like all this stuff. I mean, the way they built Vortex
originally, like the tidal wave,
tidal wave right next to it,
loop, literally ran next to it. Yeah.
So the fact that like they had to get so incredibly creative with a plot that is probably the tightest plot that any B&M has ever been built for, I'm actually kind of confident saying that. They did such a wonderful little job with this classic coaster, and then there was this berm, and so like there's actually a double down in this coaster layout that nobody talks about. You come out that helix, and then you have a double down into the corkscrew. Kind of phenomenal stuff. I actually love Patriot so much that I think it may be like my second favorite ride at the park. Is that a big statement?
No. Yeah. I mean, only you, Sean, can say that because of what you've written. You appreciate the uniqueness. You appreciate what it brings to the table that other coasters don't.
100%. Maybe I guess like my old little loopers, but yeah, she's good. Yeah. She's cute.
She is cute, and she's kind of like hidden away. Again, I love that the berm integration is so cool, and I do wish Tidal Wave was still there. And in a dream world, if they can't afford a B&M Hyper, why not build a next gen Vekoma Boomerang? In that plot is beyond me, but that's just my idea. So yeah, another tidal wave would be great.
Another tidal wave. Oh my God! You know what? They can make it happen, or something similar. The strip exists. I mean, we're acting like this park is like going to stay open forever. Put in something similar.
Put in there. I'm just saying, Vekoma.
No, I agree. Oh yes, Vekoma. Oh my God, yeah, like the
new Vekoma Super Boomerang. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it fit perfectly.
I wonder if it's slightly too wide. But if it's not slightly too wide, yeah. Oh my God, make it happen. I'll call Vekoma after this episode. Okay.
Thank you.
And and the next on the list is Gold Striker, which, oh my God, my top 3, I cannot pick my favorite rides at this park.
I can't either. But Gold Striker looks so good.
Gold Striker is so good.
But it's so good.
No.
And the trees have grown around it so well. It integrates really beautifully. It fits that plaza of the park. Name another ride that does a wrap around an Intamin Sky Tower.
Okay.
None.
Thank you very much. And then that first drop is just like... It's art. It's art in the tunnel, and then like this giant swoop,
and it just keeps going and going, and you're just like,
oh my God, yeah.
Cool.
So I'm gonna say something wild, guys. But Gold Striker is one of the best wooden coasters in the world. I don't care what you think. I don't care if you're gonna hang up on this episode right now. First of all, GCI is like the supreme company at this point for wooden coasters. Don't at me. But then, within the lexicon of their phenomenal portfolio of wooden roller coasters, Gold Striker deserves so much more praise. It's like, like Thunderhead was all the rage, and then the Gold Striker was like a Thunderhead 2.0. Similar length, has kind of terrainy vibes to it, has a lot of those cool turns. You get thrown into the turn and you turn.
Yeah.
Lateral moments. Oh my God, Gold Striker is not to be effed with. It's a great, great, great coaster. I will die on this hill. It is an asset that will be truly missed because it will not get relocated probably.
It won't. Yeah. But the layout is so good. The twister section, the change in elevation, the way it plays with terrain, which is bizarre in this park, but it is playing with terrain on that hillside.
Yeah, and putting a wooden coaster in the front of the park, like first thing you see is a massive GCI coaster, which because of the park's lineup is the biggest coaster in the park. Everything about this is just unconventional, despite it being just a wooden roller coaster. Tunnels, walls, because they had to do all that sound dampening for the business park. So who the hell cares? Like nobody cares about your business park. It's all abandoned anyway after COVID. Anyway. Yes, much respect for Gold Striker. She is that girl.
She is that girl for sure. And so and so is Star Tower. Star Tower, the fact that they're keeping their Intamin Sky Tower running is that girl to me. I'm like, I love that she's like still like going up and down. The one in Gurney hasn't ran in like years, I don't think.
Oh, has it not? Did we ride it, Ian, when we went? I can't remember.
No, it was closed. They keep parking.
Oh my God, it's been closed ever since?
I don't know if it's been closed ever since, but like that ride is notoriously down all the time. The little one in Santa Clara could never. She always open.
I know, she's always there. She needs new windows though. But other than that, I love her.
Listen,
she's very Americana. She's demure. She's cute.
It is really funny that the Pictorium, which is their IMAX theater, is still rusting back there. Because I'm like,
oh yeah, 100%.
You could do something with that.
They put a maze in there.
But
not anymore. That was close.
I'm just saying it's still there. It's still a little there. And then of course the gem of the park is still the Carousel Columbia, and I love what Cedar Fair did when they said we're going to renovate the carousel, which it needed. And it's worth noting that both the Carousel Columbias have fiberglass horses because they were building these from the ground up. So these are not traditional carousels. Most carousels in theme parks have been relocated from old amusement parks. So when these opened in 76, they were some of the first like brand new American carousels ever built. So the horses are fiberglass. But what they did at Great America when Cedar Fair decided to renovate it is they replaced the horses on the bottom level with creatures, which is really fun. So like dragons and stuff like that. And then the traditional horses are still on the top level. I don't think I have that mixed up. And then they redid the dome to be, instead of that like iron, it's like a beautiful copper color. Not the dome, the
it's
spire.
so beautiful.
And it's
I mean, this
like,
park is full of icons, but this is the the most iconic icon of them all, would I say?
And it's a great attraction. Like, what person doesn't, like, when you think about like the most classic theme park attraction, amusement park attraction, it is the merry-go-round. And Marriott really tapped into something when they did that, you know what I mean? And they even had the carousel song, which is still used by both parks at times. They wrote custom theme music for it. This was what made the park tick and still does. And I think it really is, it blows any other kind of regional park icon out of the water. No offense to the Eiffel Tower, which I love, but I'd rather have the Carousel Columbia any day.
And the Carousel Columbia is going to be our transition into our final section of this episode.
Yes.
And that's because there's actually a rumor among people that I trust within the company or within maintenance and whatnot, that if Great America were to truly close with the current expected maybe 2-3 year timeline, which again, I'm hoping is not true, it looks like this may actually be a relocation, and it may actually be relocated to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. Now, how are they going to integrate that? I couldn't tell you. I don't know where it would be. My personal hope would be not to armchair Imagineer Discovery Kingdom, but like out with the current theme, completely take away any sort of Six Flags and DC branding and turn it into a mix of Old Marine World and Great America and make it a classic NorCal destination and expand the park all the way up to where the bus loop is and pop it in there as a centerpiece between Medusa and Joker.
Yes.
Please make it happen. I think this park is full of potential because the bones of both parks are actually really good. Like, Marine World's bones are really great too.
Marine World's problem is always been that they built into the parking lots on either side, and then they've never addressed the entrance plaza. They're just like, we're just not going to deal with this.
Yeah, exactly. But if you push the entrance all the way back to where
the bus loop is,
exactly. But push it back to where you drive into to get to the parking lot.
Entrance plaza.
And then you have a lot of park to work with.
Six Flags love building entrance plazas. They love doing it. They love redoing
and Cedar Fair loves building new ones.
That's what I'm saying. Build a new one. Yeah. If they can do it at Carowinds and they do it at Cedar Point, they can do it here. And you know 100%. What? Throw a wing coaster in the mix, maybe. After they figure out
my God. After they figure out, I'm hard for that one.
I know how to get that. But yeah, I think that would be interesting for sure.
My God. Now you got me all sorts of thinking.
The most obvious relocator is Railblazer, I think, is the most obvious relocation. To me, the park that needs it the most would be Valley Fair. Their only looper is an Aero looper, which is wild.
Yeah, and Valley Fair is in a market that, like, I'm pretty sure the park gets attendance, and they have competition, So, yeah, I think that would be a Valley Fair friendly addition. And please put it back to next to Excalibur. I would say that corner park needs a little bit of love.
Cute.
Yeah,
yes,
very cute.
It does. It would be cute.
Tiki Twirl, easy fit for Discovery Kingdom. You can plop it pretty much anywhere.
It would be fine.
Celebration swings would also go well to go to Discovery Kingdom, but they already have a swing ride, though, on the main promenade.
I forgot. They do.
Yeah, so, but that can fit anywhere. They can bring it anywhere. Bring it to Magic Mountain. In fact, bring it to Magic Mountain. Put it where Pistachio freaking Park is.
All the classic flats that Magic Mountain has been losing. They lost their scrambler.
Bring them all back.
Their freaking scrambler.
Yeah, even if it's ugly, it doesn't deserve to die. Yeah.
No.
Bring it back.
Bring the scrambler can go over to Liberty Twister. The scrambler can go to Magic Mountain. Pop it in that plot. Bring this wave swinger back. Hell,
in fact, Ian, you know how we discuss Americana and we discuss parks of the 70s? Magic Mountain, in its core, used to be like Great America. Americana, cohesive aesthetic. And now we're seeing a new entrance sign over the freeway, right? We're seeing the trash cans return to the old Magic Mountain logo. Yes. I'm sensing a little retro redo.
It's time.
It's time. And then use Great America's dying situation and take all the retro stuff and bring it all to Six Flags, Magic Mountain, and call it Magic Mountain. Fuck Six Flags. Sorry, no offense. That sounds really rude.
That is a part where the Six Flags title
take the
is
name
unnecessary.
off. Exactly. Everyone calls it Magic Mountain anyway. And then turn it into a classic Americana Magic Mountain. Bring the retro back. It's doable. Yeah. And if that means the death of Great America, well, that means the death of Great America.
Listen, if the death of Great America happens and we can get like a Enterprise, which actually surprisingly Magic Mountain I don't think ever had an Enterprise. Bring it. Bring it
not?
in.
No, it did have an Enterprise. No, wasn't it where Bedman area is? Please
no,
hold,
they had a Roundup, but I don't think they had an Enterprise.
Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so scared. I think I had one. Hold up, maybe I'm misremembering my whole life.
Well, it makes sense that they would have one because that whole Backstreet area, which was eventually Gotham City, was all classic flats. And like, bring them back. Like, it would work so well.
Yeah, Magic Mountain apparently had one from 1977 until 1993.
Oh, where was it, I wonder? Was it in that Backstreet area?
It was called Reactor, and I think it was in... Yeah, it was in Backstreet. Yeah, okay, anyway, I wasn't crazy.
Better.
Okay.
So bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. I'm just saying,
bring it back. Bring it all back.
100%.
Redo Samurai Summit with a bunch of flats. Oh my God, I'm so into this.
Well, Samurai Summit just needs to get redone in general.
Anything.
I think anything and everything, please redo. I would also, we're going to do a little touch of armchair imagineering. Can you imagine if we got Demon Drop and put it back into where it fits where the Riddler is? It'd be so cute.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? The plot's still there. I guess it's now like used for mazes and stuff. But you know what? Yeah, please.
I always love the aesthetic though of Freefall with like the stunt coloring next to the green.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's so good. Anyways,
but for the movie district, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. How about Psycho Mouse? Do you think that's going to get relocated?
Psycho Mouse. Honestly, I think Psycho Mouse would be a good fit for Discovery Kingdom as well. Well, now they have that. They have that
spinning mouse.
That's right. They got Safari Sidewinder.
I suspect it will just be a parts donor for the other Aero Mice, but I mean, those things are built like tanks, so it might.
I know, because I feel like that one could actually be relocated and get some use out of it. I'm just trying to think of a park that could actually benefit from having one that doesn't already have a wild mouse and that can deal with shitty capacity. And then the list quickly dwindles to nothing. So unless they sell it to a third party, who knows? But then, speaking of part donors, I think Patriots trains are going to be used on either as a part donor or to actually maybe convert another ride. So since Circus America is closing, Firebird, of course, is not going to get relocated either. So they have a good amount of trains to work with. I think Vortex at Carowinds is obvious next. And I think I actually kind of like the idea of that being turned into a Florida Coast. So they have these trains laying around. The other only Florida's left, I think, in the chain is Georgia Scorcher, which actually Alex and I theorized that the trains for Patriot would go to Vortex at Carowinds and the trains for Firebird would go, in reverse. The Firebird trains would go to Vortex and the trains for Patriot would go to Georgia Scorcher. And then Riddler will be the last remaining untouched. It would get the trains from Scorcher to work with.
Maybe.
I don't hate the idea.
I like Scorcher, but everyone talks about, it's such a good stand-up. I was like, it's fine. I was like, I didn't. It's not like Riddler where I'm like, this is pushing me to the limit and great. I'm so glad this is a stand-up coaster. Vortex is garbage at Carowinds. I feel bad.
Absolute garbage.
The absolute garbage. Put a sit down on it. But Scorcher is a good layout, but it would be better if I was sitting down and not bracing my head. So,
yeah, I think those are like obvious conversions to me, especially if you have these trains laying around. If you have two sets of trains, those are the two coasters in the chain that should be using them. And then all the pieces from Scorch and go to Riddler and everything's good and everything's fine. Because Riddler needs to live on forever as a stand-up. They cannot touch that. That's Riddler.
Well,
that's
what else are you going to do in that part? Give it a floorless? We have Scream, guys. Come on.
No, true, I know. But man, well, I honestly think maybe Scream's... This is completely out there, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a big shuffle in rides. Now that it's all one big company. And if that shuffle includes Scream being relocated to another park, I wouldn't be surprised by that
either. Because it's a bit of a dud for the park. Like, it's never has a line.
Because I feel like XC Fair loved nothing more than acquiring parks and then creating a big old shuffle, the Dominator effect. And then... so I feel like this could be a lawn ornament in Kentucky. Oh, not Kentucky, whatever. Like, it could be a lawn ornament anywhere. I'm just thinking out loud.
No. They could throw it. This sounds bad. You know, a park that would need it, and I don't think I want it, is Kings Island. Kings Island needs a looper. Like,
oh my God, but they need a new Vekoma looper where Vortex was.
They need they really could have gotten that tilt coaster that was waiting around for a nice plot of land where an Aero looper used to be. And I will forever, I'm at my wit's end with Six Flags recently. The rumors of us finally getting a Phantom Theater redo for the Boo Blasters at Kings Island, they're going to redo the Omnimover. That's the rumor right now, because that's finally closing. That will begin allowing me to forgive them slightly. But I'm just like,
no, that lack of a Vortex replacement is offensive at this point.
It's offensive. Well, it's just as offensive that they're not replacing King Dakar, but that's a conversation for another day.
Oh my God. You know what? Yeah, no, I mean, we can go on. We can have a whole episode about how we're faulted by current Six Flags. And Ka hurt me personally. Like, I actually am upset about that. I mean, it's freaking King Dakar. Like, King the freaking Ka, whatever people say. Like,
I was at the park the last season that it was open, and I was waited for the next day because I was like, I wasn't going to buy a Flash Pass for the day until the next day. And I'm like, I'll just wait till I have Flash Pass. It was closed the whole day. And
Ian,
I've personally victimized by Ka.
Oh my God, the pain in your soul. And Ka was so good too.
Okay. I know.
Pain. Yeah. Wow.
Gold Striker trains, where do you think they're going to go?
Any park with a GCI at this point. I mean, ship it down the road.
I'm also not a big fan of PTC adjustable lap bar trains. They're better than the single bars, but like, I don't know. I would love some Millennium Flyers on some of the older coasters as well. Like, even like a Blue Streak would benefit from Millennium Flyers, in my opinion, if they could run on it.
If it wasn't for CGA and Circus America closing at the same time, it would have been like Throw 'em on Roar at Circus America.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, that's the most GCI layout left with non-GCI or not Millennium Flyers. Other than that, yeah, I don't think they would. I don't know where they would go. Part donor for sure. I'm trying to think of which park needs it the most, but I don't really know which park needs it the most. Maybe they should just put them on Zambezi Zinger, because I heard those trains are terrible.
Oh my God.
Have you ridden that yet?
I haven't. I want to, because it's so bizarre. And then they were like, we built a spiral lift, and then we enclosed it in corrugated steel, so it's just useless. I'm like, this is embarrassing, so embarrassing.
I know. It's a heat stroke waiting to happen. Yeah.
It's so obviously it went with the lowest bid, and the lowest bid was this CGI nonsense instead of an actual steel coaster. Because what they should have built was a Vekoma family coaster, like Big Great Bear or something like, not Great Bear, sorry, like Big Bear Mountain. But obviously that was going to be so much more expensive. And so they were like, this will work. And it's like, it sure.
I agree.
Does it?
Yeah, that should have been something that resembles a steel coaster more than a wooden coaster does. Anything at that point.
Anyway, Last Train's flight deck. Do you think flight deck's not going to be relocated, and it's going to break my heart, because it really can't be relocated? This
park is just not allowed to close. This is not allowed. Like, this stuff's too good there.
It's too reliant on the terrain.
Let me tell you one thing, Ian. So I heard from a little bird. Is that what people say? I don't know. Anyway, I heard somewhere down the grapevine that Six Flags is actually working on relocating quite a few rides out of Circus America. And we'll do an episode on this later that you're welcome to join me and Alex for. But there has been permits filed, supposedly, and I don't have a lot of concrete details on this, but this is what I'm hearing, for even Six Flags America's Superman to be relocated to Michigan's Adventure, for example. So if this is a potential reality that we're living in, you know, that we're already like filing permits to see if we can relocate stuff like that giant Helix machine, then I feel like there could be a future for some of the stuff at Great America that seems like an unlikely move.
Oh, 100%.
You know, but are you going to move that super old invert? I don't know. You know, from a technical standpoint, probably not.
If they're moving the carousel, why not move the top coaster of Northern California with it? Do you know what I mean?
That thing just cannot die out. If anything, it needs to remain left standing and become the 49ers flight deck or whatever.
They should have called it 49ers touchdown to begin with.
Oh my God, yes, that's true.
It should have been 49ers touchdown, because it's like a little bit airplane themed.
There was rumors that it was going to be called touchdown.
Yeah,
in 2014.
Never happened. But I do think that it did get 49ers colors. But yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on relocations or things that could change?
Just flats, I think. I think Cedar Fair loves moving flats around. And I think there's quite a bit of parks, especially Magic Mountain, that really needs flats. But at the same time, you see like flats being closed at alarming rates for else. Why does this park still have all their flat rides? And would they get relocated? I don't know. But you know what? I'm just really hoping that the park closing is equals Hershey Entertainment coming in, or some other operator. If Cedar Fair or Six Flags truly is done with this park, like they said they would be done with, then I just hope that another operator gets a chance to come in and operate this beautifully well-maintained park. I don't care if they have to subsidize, the city has to subsidize it, whatever they got to do. But this is too good of a park to die. I think like there's life left in it.
Even if you rip out the rides, the bones of the layout are good.
It's so nice. It's a good park. Yeah.
I
really do think
relocate the water park. So keep the water park. Let's say Cedar Fair is like, fine, keep the water park. If you have to swap out the coasters, and they're not going to want to move Gold Striker, so keep Gold Striker. I don't know. To me, I'm like, there's no way this is the end. Even if it gets redeveloped and like Cedar Fair guts it, like there's no way someone's not going to say, what a great asset for me to operate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think worst case or best case scenario, either Cedar Fair or / Six Flags. I keep calling it Cedar Fair, but Cedar Flags.
Same thing.
Ends up just using this thing right now as like a chess piece, and then eventually the park doesn't end up going anywhere, or they decide to consolidate, take some stuff out, and sell it off, and maybe focus on Great America. On Discovery Kingdom as their sole operation, and turn that into a different kind of park. But I really hope another operator can just come in, like Hershey, and just take it over. Make it. I mean, it's a very pretty park already. All they have to do is just show up and take it over. It's all they got to do. That's really all.
It really is.
So that's my hope. That's my final thought on that.
Kind of final thoughts. My only final thought is a big plug to everybody. Six Flags isn't going to make a big deal out of this, but the two Great Americas are about to celebrate their first anniversary together in 2026.
As a reunited, yeah.
Because Marriott sold the parks before they turned 10. And so this is going to be their first anniversary. Major anniversary is going to be their 50th, where they're together again. And I think we should make a big deal out of it. I want Six Flags to acknowledge it, because I get that they're going to want to try to sweep California's Great America under the rug, but like, it's special. They are sister parks. They are a really important part of the story of theme parks in America. And like, I don't know. I just don't get why you wouldn't take the opportunity to do something fun. Like the two marketing departments, like figure it out, guys. There's got to be something fun you can do.
I actually agree with that. And speaking of which, even though they tried to sweep Great America under the rug, I now see California's Great America marketing everywhere, along with Discovery Kingdom and Hurricane Harbor,
team is super
Concord.
Active.
I feel like I see, especially now that Six Flags social media accounts are also promoting ex-Cedar Fair parks. I feel like I see Great America more online than I've ever seen Great America before.
I agree.
But yes, I would like, especially for merch, and Alex would agree with this as a merch guy that he is.
Yes.
I would like, retro logo merch that shouts out both parks, Gertie and Santa Clara or whatever, Chicago
100%.
and San Jose, whatever they want to call it. And with that, we'll wrap up our episode. If you are listening here on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, please do leave us 5 stars. It'd be very cute. Leave us a little review. Follow us on social media or visit thecoastalkings.com if you want some recent photos of Great America. We just discussed all these great color schemes and whatnot. We're going to be some photos about that matching this episode. And with that, we'll see you guys hopefully next week. And that was a quick little 2-week break, a secret little break. But we'll catch you guys on that episode soon. Bye.
Awesome. Bye, guys.